Hello, my fellow Nakamas. That Random Spice welcomes you to your random encounter for today, which is anime. All of us have watched anime at some point in our lives. Some prefer the subbed versions, and the others the English adaptations. Most YouTube videos about whether you should watch sub or dub animes revolve around arguments about what feels better to the eye, personal preferences, and the overall experience. However, while they're still very relevant factors, there is something much more deeper with this issue. While sub or dub anime cannot be inherently good or bad, there are rather very persuasive arguments about why you should choose subbed over dub, because there are specific problems with the English adaptations of the anime. Over the years, there has been consistent increase in the demand for dubbed anime and the English adaptations. This demand highly influences the making of such adaptations. Marco Pellitteri, a cultural sociologist, categorized two modes of viewership: dragon, that is when anime is consumed in celebration of its differences, and dazzle, where consumption of anime is centered around what has become the established norm. The Dragon phase ranged from 1975 to 95, and the Dazzle phase is currently ongoing. Dazzle exemplifies the importance of Western audiences. It's where anime is actively sought out by the West, not in appreciation of these various cultural differences, but is rather actively produced for the West. This phase also coincides with the largest revenue for anime. Gimme that money, money. This may seem like a good thing as it's making the industry money, money, but it's also at a cost. The privileging of audiences exposes rather problematic issues. One such issue is that of cultural appropriation. The English adaptations tend to erase Japan's cultural vibe. Commercial companies mostly prefer dubbing as it is more popular due to the less visible modes of translation. While it is very difficult to determine what exactly amounts to appropriation due to definitional limits of what culture is, the English adaptations of Japanese anime increasingly fit the bill. Both sub and dub create different senses of community: the homolingual and the heterolingual. The homolingual shows a harmony in ethnic or nationalist understanding, while the heterolingual recognizes differences between people. Dubbing is a homolingual process that usually ends up corrupting the original meaning, filled with mistranslations and alterations. In short, it kills authenticity and originality. Mistranslations happen with both subbing and dubbing, but it is way worse when it comes to the dubbed ones. In the subbed ones, the original voice actors remain intact and pin the work to its origins. But in dubbing, there is erasure of Japan's original sounds, original Japanese sounds, and there is a disabling of heterolingual elements that would cement the work that originate from Japan. English adaptations preserve the elements of the plot that they believe will generate success. Again, money, money, and toss away the rest to homogenize the material for a Western audience. This neutralizes the less obvious cues of Japanese culture. Star Blazers, Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura, and even Pokemon and Dragon Ball are examples of this. In Star Blazer, there's a spaceship named Yamato in the original series, which comes from the World War II battleship of the same name that sank in 1945 with few survivors. In the anime, the ship being salvaged was described as a powerful rewriting of history. The English version, however, opted to change the name to Argo, distancing itself from the historical influences. This historical account of the sinking is recounted with pride in Japan, as the ship was sent on a one-way mission to the Japanese island of Okinawa to protect the island against American forces. But for the West, the sinking represents the strength of the US during World War II. The plot remains that it completely mutilates the intended meaning. The vibe stealing also happens at the production stage. In 1960s, there was a shift that occurred that influenced anime artists to begin constructing non-Japanese faces just because Western people identified most characters to be Caucasian. Sailor Moon is regarded as one of the best-selling mangakas of all time within the shoujo category. a category that targets young female audiences. The plotline was reflective of the cultural demand for female characters that promoted a discourse emphasizing both female friendships and female protagonists. But the English adaptation is plagued with consistent name alterations, even to that of scrapping out the name of the main character, Tsukino Usagimi, to Serena. Gigantator, Speed Racer, Battle of Planets, the names were changed in all of these to disguise or at least to reduce the Japanese cultural vibe. Names are culturally important. They shape a person's identity, operate as social indicators that can either foster positive or negative reflections. Such name changing, therefore, only furthers the appropriation, and it is not a minor thing. What's more, the original version of Sailor Moon characterized queer relationships as acceptable and normal from a very early point within the series. The first queer relationship was clearly shown between Kunzite and Zoiste. When the series was adapted for Western audiences, Zoiste was transformed into a woman. In the third season, two characters, Uranus and Neptune, were explicitly depicted in the original as being in romantic relationship. When the company could not edit them out due to technical issues, they opted to represent them as cousins instead, resulting in a very confusing and awkward final product. The same is the story with Cardcaptor Sakura, where the romance between Sakura's older brother Toya and his best friend Yukito was instead shown as a close friendship. This, when the creator of the series specifically stated in the interview that she wanted to normalize queer identities in people of a young age and wanted to create something that minorities would feel comfortable with. There are plethora of anime that this video could not cover. From all Japanese foods being replaced in Pokemon for Western ones, like pizza for ramen and rice balls being called cakes, to even changing the race of cute Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball Z. The transformation of the relationships within Sailor Moon was to ensure that the series would be appropriate for Western children audiences. This through the maintenance of heteronormativity. But even though Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura were both targeted towards children both within Japan and America, there is difference in adaptation within America. While there are anime series that are explicitly for adults, Japanese criteria for the exclusion of children from the target audience differs from America, as in Japan, childhood and sexuality are not viewed to be artificially separate from each other. While the consumption of anime that's mutilated is increasingly being boycotted and is slowly changing, there is still a long way to go to get the dragon era back. So, what can we do? Simply, we can choose to be dragons and not dazzlers. We can watch the original adaptations, read the official mangaka, and stop labeling all of anime as kids' material. Or worse, cartoons. It has real impacts. If we can all come together to chase virtual Pokemon around, then I'm sure we can even learn to appreciate our cultural differences. Thank you and take care.